Okay, so this video is for my fellow nurses. Okay, nurse to nurse. I know for a fact during the pandemic, height of COVID, a lot of companies allowed nurses to work even though they have not done the NCLEX, right? But this is a video nurse to nurse. I'm not trying to bash my nurses because I'm a nurse also. But when you have a patient like me that has large arms like mine, and they tell you that their IV is inflated, when I go to the hospital, I don't tell them that I'm a nurse for a number of years, over 10 years. I don't tell them that because I'm expecting you to know what you're doing. However, I know that during the pandemic, a lot of nurses were rushed through because the government needed a lot of help. So anyone who didn't know that is news. Now you know. From a nurse who knows it as a fact. Okay? Even though I already been licensed for many years, I speak to new nurses during when I was helping out in the pandemic. Okay. I understand you're super excited. You don't have the experience yet. But when you have a patient like me in the hospital or wherever, and they tell you that their IV is infiltrated, and my IV was going fast. I mean fast, 125. I mean fast. My IV was going full force post-surgery. And they tell you their IV is infiltrated. Please, I'm going to let you know. When a person is overweight, a lot of times the body part can hide the fluid. Don't just look at the body part and try to compare them. For example, my right arm had a clot, IV infiltrated. I told the nurse. She like, no, your IV good. She medicated me with pain medication. I was knocked out and my IV pump was still going, and she left. Next thing I know, I woke up. Hours later, the IV pump has stopped. I didn't even know when this nurse came back in. Again, I'm not bashing a nurse, fellow nurses, but I have to educate the new nurses that do not have the type of experience that older nurses have when a person is overweight, because I know it can be very hard when someone is overweight. Trust me. I know. Not only as being overweight, but taking care of overweight patients. You have to palpate. You have to feel the extremity, not one extremity at a time. Reach over your patient. If it's arms, legs, palpate. I'm telling you, you can save yourself your license, because a lot of nurses are getting their license suspended. And of course, it's not your fault because you had to be rushed through to help in a pandemic, and then because you had experience, somebody else hired you, and blah, 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 and one thing led to another, blah, blah. Okay. Feel both extremities at the same time. Please, I highly encourage you and implore to you. Feel both extremities at the same time, because an obese, overweight person can hold a lot of fluid that is not easily visible, but it is palpable. I'm just speaking to my fellow nurses so y'all could keep your license. Listen, you worked hard for your license and you want to keep it, okay? You want to keep it. There are nurses out there who've been doing nursing longer than I have worked in more complex areas than I have. I've worked in med-surg most. I've worked in neurosurgery, brain, spine, stroke, blah, 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 blah. I've worked burn unit. I've worked chemo. Listen. Take it not as an insult, but as a learning moment. I do not want to see you lose your license because you're overworked. The hospitals are always short-staffed and they don't pay you enough. So, listen, take it from me. Palpate. Palpate. Palpate at the same time.